Okay, wonderful. So I'll do this in English. First of all, well, I'm here as the president of the Inter-University Consortium of the Italian universities, all the Italian universities that deal with computer science related topics. We are organized in national labs, and of course one of our top national labs is the one in artificial intelligence, which is led by Rita Cucchiara, who just introduced me. So I would like to thank her, not only for inviting me here, but also for the great success that is this day in the collaboration with international actors, industrial like NVIDIA. But I preferred, rather than telling you the story of how the consortium, but that's a little bit bureaucratic. So I wanted to tell you an history, the story more than it, of something that I've been doing for the past 5 years, and where also NVIDIA is present. So in a sense, it is something that could be hopefully interesting as an experience for the collaboration that is starting today and that we are going to sign, or we have just signed. So this is the story of 5 years of work in which we basically followed a strategy that was set up in the Middle East in a number of countries, but the UAE, you know, the United Arab Emirates, is a country where this strategy was set up at the top level. Is the only country in the world which has a minister for artificial intelligence, and many of the people sitting in this front row know him personally. So basically, it's an example for using AI as an engine for economic development and creating the conditions. Of course, it's not a model for a large country like Italy, but it's an interesting experience nevertheless. It is something that we may want to take a look at. So I will just show you a little bit what it means. So basically, I will be talking of the Abu Dhabi University system, which is a system. Of course, there are many Emirates. There are 7 Emirates, but the 2 major ones are Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And basically, it is organized in 3 major areas of interest. One, you can imagine, is energy. Another one is oil and gas. And the third one, newly introduced at the same level as the others, is AI. So AI is basically part of the strategy of the country at the same level as the traditional industries where the country, well, they fostered the development of the country since the 70s. So it's a little bit like we're trying to do here. AI is coming on as an additional source of innovation and as an additional source of economic value in addition to the traditional areas. And this is what we have been trying to do in the UAE. So basically, the notion that we have been working on down there not only has been the research. Of course, the research is not just the research in fundamental AI, it is mostly the operational and the applied AI part. What's going on? I have to go back to this one, sorry. I know that one. But also new academic programs. So this is another opportunity that we have been also looking at in Italy as a consortium. What is the type of change that we need to do in our curricula, especially at the graduate level, in order to incorporate enough AI to produce the type of talent pool that the country needs? So this is a change that has to be done, and universities are very slow normally in doing that. So while you do the curricular change, you also want to do non-curricular activities that will complement the curricular change. And finally, professional development. I was discussing this with some colleagues. We professors have been ignored for a while from the industry, and now they are knocking our door. And the reason why they are knocking our door is that they have scarcity of the talents that they need. They want us to accelerate the production of the talent pool. And many young people in the room today, I think, they are candidates for increasing the talent pool of this country in particular. But this is part of the mission of the Artificial Intelligence Institute down in the UAE as well, the continuous professional development. So basically, in this case, we have AI has been used in a very broad sense. And I hope that this is not considered too broad by the colleague who actually do AI here in Italy. But the idea is that AI is the umbrella under which innovation in a number of areas is carried out. It's not just research in fundamental AI. It is AI is the trigger for change and innovation in a number of different fields. So it's not, what is interesting is that we are sort of filling the traditional gap between intelligent machines on one side, which is the extensional part, are the physical system that must exhibit intelligent behavior, and on the other side, the algorithms and the models that need to be computationally carry out computations that basically are at the core of the systems themselves. So in this particular example, we are carrying out research in robotics, cyber-physical systems, hardware for AI, hybrid configurations that will take advantage of, for example, the NVIDIA architectures for the training part, and then we can deploy the models in production into specific devices. And this is the general structure that we set up for research in this area. So intelligent behavior will be exhibited not only by, as I said, by computer programs. Intelligent behavior is also exhibited by the machines and by the devices. But the devices carry out their inferences, show their intelligence, because the research has explored models and has explored algorithms. So the computational part is behind the scene, because the models that are actually executed inside the devices have been set up and trained on a computational infrastructure. So here we have, I show you the total type of investment that we had in this particular institute down there. So each of the research centers has an initial endowment and grant, and this grant, as you can see here, is about $10 million per center. So we have around 10 centers in our institute. It's $100 million effort as the initial endowment for the research and for the equipment. Okay, so I just want to... So I will show you now 3 quick examples of projects. I know that these are, some of them are linked to the ones that are being carried out in Italy here. So this is an interesting one which is not linked to anything that's been done here. It's linked with the collaboration with the Korean government. Korea is basically building the energy infrastructure in the UAE, the one which is not based on oil. They have a nuclear power infrastructure that's coming up. And one of the big interests they have is estimate fitness for work. Fitness for work of individuals measured based on the signals coming from monitoring their brain and the other signals from the bodies. And you know, here there has been a lot of research that basically allows you to tell whether someone is fit or not for a particular work by looking at the brain waves, but this is easily done in a lab. But if you want to do it using a cheap set of sensors that people can carry while they are working, well, this is a different story, because the number of electrodes will be lower, because there will be more noise in the environment, the inference will be less certain. And so we feed risk models with this, and the risk model will tell you the risk for someone operating. It's not the big brother reading your brain. It's just estimating whether you are the right person at that moment to take responsibility of a critical action that could endanger other people. Another one, well, I'm sitting in the front row, there's Professor Alberto Del Bimbo. This is done by one of his former students. This is a very interesting topic, the topic of recognizing people, especially second guessing whether people have been recognized before, not just on their face, but also on the shape of their body in an image. This has been reasonably successful with the Western data sets. But for example, in a number of areas, people do not dress like they dress. You can see that one. This is the Dubai Metro. So the thing on the left is something everybody can do these days. And, but the thing on the right, which is basically being able to recognize how many people in that crowd have been recognized at the beginning when they passed through the metro gate, this is a different story. Not just because it's difficult in itself, but because the system that is going to do that has been trained using people dressed in a Western fashion. So the error rate on someone which is dressed using the traditional dresses. So the thing that we are doing with some Italian researchers that are helping me down in Abu Dhabi is, can we get credible data sets, and how do we do transfer learning for using a model that has been trained in a different area and with different hypotheses on people who are dressed differently and behave differently. The third one is another interesting thing. This is an example of coupling. We have many NVIDIA boxes in our institute, so we are good customers. But we also do our own accelerators. And the accelerators here, basically, the interesting thing is that sometimes the innovation in AI is not in the model, but it is in how you deploy it. Basically, how the model is actually executed in a specific environment. You distribute, for example, the training phase and the inference phase on different parts of a distributed architecture. And sometimes you have models that you need to update continuously in time. And this is a project that we have for the update of models, convolutional models that are updated basically easily because they are stored on an FPGA. And so the FPGA, which can be virtualized inside the cloud, but in this case is a physical board, as you can see, contains a model that can be continuously updated depending when this is needed. For example, because the model is following a phenomenon which is non-stationary, so its statistics is not permanent, but it changes a long time. Okay, so basically, what we are doing down there, well, apart from buying a lot of hardware, but apart from that, the idea is that we have the mandate from the government to adapt the university courses and programs to provide the right rate of development for the local talent pool. And the research part is also important to provide projects and to provide PhD opportunities for the students that later on will find their way not only in the university, in academia, but also in the industry. Okay, so we want to inject the AI in the overall experience of the student. And one thing I am quite proud of down there is all engineering students, regardless of their major, can do a minor in AI. So you can be a meteorologist with a minor in AI. You can be a chemical engineer with a minor in AI. So for all the students, we give the opportunity of having a minor because we think that later on, they will, in their professional life, they will be required AI competencies regardless of the area where they specifically work on. Okay, so let me get to close. I would like to give you a little bit an idea of how this thing should operate in the future. Basically, we are working on down there, you can see the high-performance computing architecture and platform that we are building in the country. AI for business, AI for the human behavior. This is a very interesting thing, and AI for manufacturing. These are the three areas of the local strategy in AI. And there is a lot of interest as well from a number of local actors, but this one is a French actor, by the way, who just came to Abu Dhabi, opening a campus down there. And basically, the idea is, how can we make AI effective from the business point of view? How can we make sure that AI will generate revenue? How can we make sure that AI will generate new ideas that will succeed? Because we are interested, of course, in the cultural value, but we are also interested in the money. Sorry. This is also part of the thing. And so this is also an interface which is of big interest, and I expect that also here in Italy we will have interest on the part of our colleagues who work in managerial studies, who work in the economic side, in order to understand and to help us to make AI a success from the business point of view as well. Okay, so one final thing. Next year we will have a competition on intelligence machines in the UAE. It's 10 million first prize, so you're all very welcome. We had a team from Roma La Sapienza last year, which was reasonably successful, but they didn't enter the first three positions. So this is a challenge of having a machine that will exhibit intelligent behavior in a number of fixed environment and contexts. So please take a look at that website, and I would so much like to have an Italian flag waving as the winner of this competition next year. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to me today. I would like again to congratulate with Professor Rita Cucchiara, who leads our national lab on AI, and on our friends from NVIDIA. I think we have the opportunity here to do something big. And I hope that what I presented here could also be an interesting example of stuff that we can also, in a different way, make a reality here in Italy. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm sure that the time is not a lot, but since there is the possibility to have Professor Damiani here, is there someone of the public, of the student, that has a question for him or for all of us? Because I like that it's not just only a presentation. If you want, also in the panel at the end, we can do, but there is a question there, so that is... there is the microphone that is coming. Scusa, così facciamo un attimo veloce.
What's your plan in kind of starting up new companies around your? So do you plan to have an ecosystem of startups?
Yeah. This is INSEAD, as you know, is a business school. Well, it's the top business school in the world. Bocconi, unfortunately, is not at the same level, but still we are. INSEAD has opened a campus in Abu Dhabi, and basically what we are doing together there is that they are also part of our institute. They sit in the scientific board, and the notion is that we wanted to make sure that we have the best practices for applying AI within existing organizations in order to increase their business value. It's not just, everybody has in mind the model of a startup. I have an idea, maybe some AI-based idea, and I become successful because the idea becomes a product. But this is only part of the picture. Another part of the picture is to enable existing organizations to use the AI. And this is very difficult because you have to do with people who, when they got their degree, AI was not in the picture. So they don't know what they're talking about. So they need guidance. And basically, we are running with INSEAD an innovation platform where we are trying to help people to understand how we start from use cases. It's use case based. We collect the use cases where they think, and we think with them. And then together, we try to basically go from the use case to the application of the AI. This is, for example, I'll tell you one, so just to be concrete. There is a lot of interest in understanding how many people actually live in apartments. People live in apartments. This is a very important thing because locally most of the taxes are linked to occupancy in the apartment. So you pay, it comes on your electric bill, you pay if you live there. Right? So some people, they just claim there are 2 people living in the apartment, and actually there are 4. So can you guess that? How can you guess that? And that would increase the municipality revenue. So this is one of the use cases that we have. Actually correct estimate, and then we propose to them the tax. Rather than, it's a little bit like for the Italian tax system here, we are moving from asking people to tell how much they owe, from the center telling them, we want this money from you, and if you don't agree, you have to dispute that in a litigation. So we do that in Abu Dhabi, and that was one success story of INSEAD. We sat with the people from the municipality, and we found out the idea for increasing the revenue based on AI, which is making certain and bigger the incoming flow of revenue. And then the AI application was guessing, but you need a very high level of accuracy because every time you fail, you will have litigation, and then you may lose more money than you actually get. So we got very good accuracy in this one. Just to give you an idea.
Okay, thank you very much.